The desert has no mercy. It burns you by day, freezes you by night, and buries the dead without a sound. Private Daniel Cole pressed his cheek against the stock of his Springfield rifle, the metal hot enough to sting. Through the scope, the horizon shimmered. Nothing but heat waves and ghosts. "See anything?" Sergeant Hayes' voice rasped behind him. "Not yet," Cole murmured. They'd been here for 6 hours, two men half buried in sand and sweat, watching the enemy's supply road from a dune that looked like any other. Their uniforms were sun-bleached, canteens nearly empty. Flies circled the rim of Hayes' helmet. Somewhere out there, beyond the mirage, Africa Corps trucks moved supplies through the desert night. Command wanted them stopped. Cole's rifle was the message. He adjusted the scope. A faint vibration, engine noise, drifted across the wind. Then dust. A small convoy rolling slow and cautious, silhouettes trembling in the heat. "Got 'em," Cole said. Hayes raised his binoculars. 2 trucks, 1 half-drag. Distance 800. Cole slowed his breathing. The world shrank to the circle of his scope. "First shot counts," Hayes whispered. Cole's finger rested on the trigger. His heartbeat thumped in his ears. The crosshair settled on the lead driver's chest. He exhaled and squeezed. The shot cracked through the stillness, sharp and absolute. The driver slumped, the truck veering sideways into the sand. Shouts echoed across the dunes. German soldiers scrambled for cover, rifles flashing in the sun. Cole worked the bolt, chambered another round. "Second truck rear gunner," Hayes barked. Cole fired again. The gunner fell backward, his machine gun spinning into the sand. Smoke rose from the disabled vehicles. The desert wind carried the smell of oil and dust. "Time to move," Hayes said. They slid down the far side of the dune, bodies low, packs dragging. Cole glanced back once, black smoke twisting into the endless sky. He'd made his shot. The convoy was stopped. But something about the silence that followed felt wrong. Then came the distant rumble, engines, many of them. Cole froze. "Hayes." That wasn't all of them. Engines echoed across the dunes, low, heavy, and closing fast. Cole flattened himself against the sand, scope pressed to his eye. Dust clouds rose on the horizon, half-tracks and armored cars, a full patrol sweeping the valley. "Damn it," Hayes hissed. They must have heard the shots. Cole's pulse quickened. "Too many to fight." "Then we don't fight," Hayes said, slinging his rifle. "We vanish." They moved fast but low, cutting between dunes where the wind had carved narrow paths. The sand burned through their sleeves, and every breath felt like swallowing glass. The sun was dropping, but the heat still clung like a fever. Behind them, German engines growled closer. The sound bounced off the dunes, impossible to track. A flare burst in the distance, red light staining the sky. "They're marking the wrecks," Cole said. "And sweeping outward," Hayes replied. "They'll circle around us before dark." They crested a dune, then slid down the other side into a shallow depression, where a wrecked British truck lay half buried in sand. Inside were empty water cans and a torn Union Jack. Hayes dropped behind it, scanning the horizon. "We'll hold here till nightfall." Cole wiped the sand from his scope, peering through a crack in the truck's frame. The patrol vehicles were spreading out, methodical, disciplined. One stopped less than 400 yards away. A soldier climbed to the roof, glassing the dunes with binoculars. Cole steadied his rifle. "Permission to engage." Hayes hesitated. "1 shot, then we move." "Make it count." Cole exhaled. The crosshair found the man's temple. He squeezed the trigger. The shot cracked through the dry air, then chaos. Engines roared. Soldiers shouted. Bullets tore into the wreck. Sand exploded around them. "Go," Hayes yelled. They sprinted into the open, diving behind another dune as rounds hissed past. Cole's rifle jammed with sand. He slammed the bolt forward, swore, kept running. Tracer fire streaked overhead, orange lines against a blood-red sky. The sun was setting, but the desert didn't cool. It burned hotter with every heartbeat. When they finally dropped behind a ridge, gasping, the gunfire faded into distant echoes. "Status," Hayes panted. "Low on ammos. No waters." Hayes looked east. "Nearest friendly lines, 20 miles. We move at night." Cole nodded, reloading what was left of his ammunition. The desert was quiet again, but the quiet felt different now, like the world was holding its breath. In the dying light, he looked back toward the black smoke still curling over the dunes. Somewhere out there, men were still searching for them. And he knew before morning they'd find more than sand. Night draped the desert in silver and silence. The heat faded, replaced by a cold that bit through their uniforms. Cole and Hayes trudged east beneath a half-moon, shadows stretching long across the dunes. "Keep moving," Hayes said. "We stop, we freeze." Cole nodded, too tired to speak. The horizon glowed faintly ahead, moonlight reflecting off the sand like water. Every few steps, he thought he heard engines, but it was only the wind curling through the ridges. Then something. A flicker of orange in the distance. Not moonlight. Fire. They approached cautiously, rifles ready. As they neared, they saw a half-track wreck, burned to its frame, surrounded by 3 bodies half buried in the sand. One of them moved. "Hayes," Cole whispered. "He's alive." The wounded man wore a German uniform, his leg crushed beneath twisted metal. His breath came in ragged bursts, eyes wide and unfocused. Hayes crouched beside him. "He's finished." Cole swallowed hard. "Still breathing." The German's hand twitched, pointing weakly toward the stars. His lips moved, forming a single word, muddy. Hayes reached for his pistol. "Mercy." Cole caught his wrist. "Wait," he knelt, uncapped his canteen, and pressed it to the man's lips. The soldier drank once, then stilled forever. Hayes lowered his pistol. Neither spoke. The desert was quiet again, except for the wind. "Let's move," Hayes said at last. They walked on until the horizon began to glow pale blue with dawn. Cole's legs trembled, his throat raw. Then faint smoke ahead. "Campfires," Hayes whispered. Cole raised his binoculars. "American tents. A supply column. Home." Hayes smiled weakly. "Told you we'd make it." But Cole didn't answer. He turned back toward the dunes, where the wreck lay hidden under drifting sand. The desert was already erasing their footprints. "Home," Cole said quietly. "Or just another stop before the next fight." Hayes clapped him on the shoulder. "Doesn't matter, son. We're still breathing." Cole looked east as the sun climbed, painting the desert gold again. The same sun that burned and blinded, that buried friends and enemies alike. The war would move on. Another mission, another convoy, another stretch of silence. But for now, just for this moment, he let himself feel the warmth. They reached the camp at sunrise. The American flag hung limp above the tents, half torn by the wind. Medics moved between stretchers, engines rumbled, and the smell of fuel clung to the cold morning air. Cole stumbled through the gate, boots heavy with sand. A corporal waved them over. "You two from the recon squad." "Was," Hayes muttered. "They didn't make it." The corporal nodded grimly, calling for a medic. Hayes tried to wave him off, but his leg gave out. 2 men caught him, lowering him onto a crate. Cole leaned his rifle against a jeep. His hands were shaking, not from cold this time, but from the sudden weight of being safe. The silence pressed harder here than it had in the dunes. A captain approached, dust-streaked and bleary-eyed. You're the sniper. Yes, sir, Cole said quietly. Your report says you hit a supply column. 2 trucks and a gunner. Confirmed kills. The captain nodded, scribbling something on a clipboard. You did good, son. Command's pushing north toward the ridge. You'll be reassigned to Overwatch at 1400 hours. Cole blinked. Sir, we just got back. War doesn't wait, the captain said simply and walked away. Hayes caught Cole's eye, smirking through the pain. You heard the man, hero. Cole gave a tired laugh. Thought we'd earned some rest. Rest's for the ones who don't make it. Hayes grinned faintly, then winced as the medics lifted him onto a stretcher. Don't let them stick you behind a desk. You belong out there. Cole nodded. He wanted to argue, but deep down, he knew Hayes was right. Later, after Hayes was taken to the medical tent, Cole sat alone by a crate of ammunition, cleaning his rifle. The morning light caught on the polished metal, and for a moment he saw his reflection, sunburned skin, hollow eyes, sand still clinging to his collar. Somewhere out on the horizon, the guns thundered again. The next day, the war rolled forward. Trucks rumbled out, soldiers shouted orders, and Cole rode in the back of a jeep heading north toward the ridgeline. The landscape was endless, rivers of sand and broken machines half buried by wind. The sun climbed higher, turning the world white and blinding. They stopped at a rise overlooking a vast stretch of desert. Cole set up his rifle, spotting scope beside it. Through the lens, he saw a distant German convoy creeping along a dry wadi, unaware of what waited above them. His finger rested on the trigger, but he didn't fire. Not yet. Orders are clear, the lieutenant said behind him. Take out the lead truck. Cole didn't respond. The wind hummed softly through the scope mount. In the glass, he saw not soldiers but silhouettes, small, human, tired. Like him. Like Hayes. Like the man who whispered muddy under the stars. He closed his eyes, drew a long breath, and pulled the trigger. The shot echoed across the desert, scattering birds from the cliffs. The convoy stopped. Dust rose. When the sound faded, the desert was silent again. Cole lowered his rifle and stared at the horizon. The wind erased the echoes, just as it erased everything else. He reached into his pocket, pulled out the small metal cap from his canteen, the same one he'd used to give water to a dying enemy, and turned it over in his hand. Hayes' voice echoed in his head, rests for the ones who don't make it. Cole smiled faintly. Then I guess I'm still working. He stood, slung his rifle, and walked back toward the truck as the sand began to blow again, covering tracks, covering the past. In the distance, the war moved on. But in that moment, Daniel Cole finally understood why men feared silence more than death. Because in the silence, you could hear everything you'd lost.